if you think you are of the world, right? It's hard to help the world if you think you are of the world. Because if you think you're of the world, you're just scared as everybody else. And so we need a little time each day to remember I'm not of here. I am here, but I'm not of here. I'm not from here. Which he says, the only way to find joy in a loveless place, drum roll please, is to remember you are not there. Oh, okay, the only, that's great, I could use that, that's practical, okay, because I've been in some joyless places. The only way to have joy in a joyless place is to remember you are not there, meaning, you know, yes, I see this around me, but this is not my home. This is not who I am, right? I am in heaven. I am in God. I am in peace, right? I am at home in God, dreaming. I am in a joyless place. So, I like that. The only way to have joy in a joyless place is to realize you are not there. Okay. All right. So now we are going to continue on where we left off last class, and it's on.
Is it on?
Yeah.
The red
You
light's
want
on.
to check it to see if the REC
The
red.
red light's on.
Yeah. And it's a red REC.
I borrow one of your books.
Yes, you may. Okay, so we're picking up where we left off in our last session, which is chapter 3. Retraining the Mind. Again, we are in the original edition of A Course in Miracles. We're doing the original edition. That's the book I now teach from. I just love it so much. And we are in the section called Conflict and the Ego. And we only got a whopping 2 paragraphs last class, so we're picking up on the 3rd paragraph in this section. In my electronic version, it's paragraph 40. In the paragraph starts, consciousness was the first split that man introduced into himself. Okay? Now, tell me when you found it. Let me know when you found it. So, chapter 3, Retraining the Mind, original edition. The section is called Conflict and the Ego. And it is the 3rd paragraph into that section.
I got it.
You got it? All right. Okay, so I'm just going to, while you guys are finding it, I'm just going to give you a quick, what's the word, where you recap of the last section.
Review.
Thank you. Review.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
You started with consciousness was the first split?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So last section, it was talking about, it was like after.
Perception versus. Yeah, okay.
And after the split, I mean, after the detour to fear, the separation, that time where we were existing in the oneness with God, with all there was, and experiencing no lack, no need, no separateness, and we took a detour into fear. Okay, of course, as a tiny mad idea crept into our mind that we forgot to laugh at. All right, and ta-da! Okay, that's the separation. That was the detour into fear. The silly, the insane thought that crossed our mind was, I wonder what it would be like to be all alone or be on my own and have something just for me. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? And forgot to laugh at that. And then the separation occurred, the detour into fear, okay? It says, once that separation occurred, man split man's consciousness, man split his mind into levels, okay? In other words, there was a fracturing that occurred after the split. So split, fracture, okay? And these levels that we split our mind into, these levels, this last section said, these levels not only did not know each other, but these levels that we split our mind into had different desires, and each level operated or obeyed a different set of laws. Wow. And that's all in our mind. So now we have these minds, or this consciousness that's fractured into levels that don't know each other, they have different desires, and they all operate by different laws. Wow, sounds real harmonious, eh? And they're in conflict with each other. And he said, in the earlier section, he said, Freud did perceive that correctly, how the mind was split into levels. The levels, as Freud saw them, was the superconscious, the conscious, and the unconscious, okay? And Freud also saw that these levels obeyed different laws and had different desires and didn't know each other and were in conflict. Okay, so remember Freud was the one who was like, yeah, well, you've got this unconscious and it wants to do whatever it wants, whenever it wants, right? And it is in conflict with the conscious mind that is like regulating. Oh, no, this is proper, this is not, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, right? And then there's the superconscious. And so Freud correctly perceived that these different levels of the mind were in conflict and had different desires and didn't know each other, okay? And then we also talked about in the last class how it brought in the concept of one-mindedness. And it was saying that one-mindedness is the only choice, it's the only state of mind that is a state of mind that's not in conflict, right? Until you choose one-mindedness, your mind, it's going to be like a little battles in there all the time, little battles. I want to do this, but this part wants to do something opposite, and this part wants to do something altogether different. Okay? So until you make that decision, I want to experience one-mindedness. I want to be integrated. I want to have an integrated consciousness where I'm not at war with my own self. Have you ever had that experience? Like, you want to experience something, you want something, but there's these other parts in you, they want something else. And they are at war with what you think you want, right? So even though you want this, you find your behavior doing that. And you're like, what's up with that, right? It seems like a mystery. I say I want this, I say I'm this, want to be this kind of person, but then my behavior shows me that there's something else going on in there, right? That's what we were talking about last week.
Like Bill Gosling says, your mind is working against you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. You think you want one thing. I want this. I want to be happy. I want to be fulfilled. I want to be loving. I want to be kind. And then, but your behavior's doing something else, and you're like, well, whoa, what's going on? There's something happening within me that that doesn't seem to be under my conscious control. It seems to want something else besides what I think I want or what I say I want. So the Course calls it the war against yourself. And it's having a mind that's at war with itself, right? And so you try to accomplish something, and then you have all these behaviors that sabotage. That's because our mind is fractured into different levels that want different things. And until we experience an integration in our own mind, then we are going to experience being at war with ourselves. And being a total mystery. Why do I do that? Why do I do that? And we'll have that sense of mystery about the other people in our life. Why do they do that? Right? Okay. So then we talked last week about the choice for one-mindedness. And only the choice for one-mindedness is a choice for a state of mind that's integrated, where you have an integrated mind, where I don't have secret desires that conflict with each other all within my own mind, right? So we talked about one-mindedness. How do you experience one-mindedness? How do you make that choice for an integrated consciousness? And we were talking about how one-mindedness comes from one purpose. One purpose. One purpose for every event, every circumstance, every relationship, every moment. One purpose, one purpose, one purpose, right? And that one purpose, as represented by the Course, is the will of God. So what it might look like in everyday experience is this. In this situation, all I want is God's plan for peace. In this situation, all I want is God's plan for happiness. In this situation, all I want is God's plan for peace. In this situation, all I want is God's plan, God's will. Remember, God's will is God's plan for you. God's will is God's plan for you, and it's God's plan for mankind. That's the will of God. And it's for the happiness of God's creations. That's God's one will. That's God's one plan. That's God's one desire. God has one desire for you. One. Our problem is we don't have one desire. We have a lot of opposite desires. Sometimes I want to be happy, sometimes I want to be right. Sometimes I want to be loving, sometimes I want to be angry. Sometimes I want to be happy, sometimes I want to be sad. I have a lot of different plans. I have a lot of different wills for every single situation, for every single event. Okay? That's why I'm not, that's an effect of not being integrated. I don't have one plan. Okay? So the Course in Miracles is a curriculum that is assisting us in getting to the point where everything that happens, we're like, all I want is the will of God. All I want is God's plan for this. In this situation, yeah, my ego's like, I want to win, I want to be right, I want to get something, I want to be saved, I want to have some pleasure. But the Course is teaching us how in everything we do to go, all right, I only want one thing. I just want God's will to be accomplished by this experience. I just want God's will to be done by this experience. I just want God's will to be accomplished in this encounter. Do you see that? How it's teaching us how to give everything one purpose, one purpose, one purpose, one will, one desire, one purpose. Okay, now what that does is it is creating a one will instead of a fractured consciousness that's at war with itself and fighting with itself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And we were saying that when you are not one-minded, because you have a lot of different wills, then what happens is that your behavior is very erratic. Your behavior is very erratic because you have a lot of different wills, a lot of different desires and goals, and they all get accomplished, but since they're different, they all conflict with each other. And so you have erratic behavior, and a lot of confusion that comes out of that. A lot of confusion where you're like, well, what do I want? Or what is it that I want? And you know, what is truth? What is real here? What is happening here? Right? So when your consciousness is fractured by different levels and different desires, then all you can experience is erratic behavior and confusion. Who is the real me? What is it I really want? Does that make sense? Okay. And so the remedy for fractured consciousness is integration, psychological, spiritual integration of the mind. One purpose, one will. Okay? The will of God. All right. Does that make sense?
Some of my confusion, I'm often, I pick this form or that form thinking that will make me happy.
Right.
Losing sight of the content of just being happy.
That's right.
So that's where I think how we do pull this thing off that gets us in conflict is looking at the form instead of the content
That's right.
and pursuing that.
That's
We
right.
don't stop and say, wait, will that make me happy?
Right.
It just
Exactly.
assumes or just pulls a little thing out for us. And
Mm-hmm.
where God isn't seeing those forms at all. He
Right.
just, being has nothing to do. Content doesn't have to do with form.
Right.
But in our mind, it's always one and the same.
Exactly. Exactly. We're not only wanting content in every circumstance. Right. And so it really comes down to, like, I mean, and you see people who seem to be very solid, stable folks, but they seem to be very unhappy. But yet, they seem to be very stable. And here I am, and I want peace and love, but I don't seem to be so stable as they do all the time. Why is that? Because they are at a point where they know what they want. They want fear. They know what they want. And it doesn't change. Right? They want fear, or to be right, to judge, it's all synonyms. They are consistent. They want one thing. And so even though they're miserable, they seem very stable. Have you ever met one of those folks? Seem very stable, but oh so unhappy. Okay? Whereas me, I've decided that I want peace and that I want the will of God. I want God's plan for this. but yet I seem unstable because I don't want only that, right? I may want peace and joy, but I don't want it as consistently as that person who knows they want fear all the time. Does that make sense? So even though I'm a course student, I seem more unstable than they are, right? Because I'm fluctuating. I'm fluctuating between I want love, I want fear, I want love, I want fear, I want love, I want fear, right? But the Course says is that this is that state of fluctuation where you're going back and forth. I want love, I want fear, oh yeah, I really want love, oh, but I want fear. This is a stage that you go through when you have left the state of mind where you are certain you only want ego, you only want to be right and win, but then you start to study the Course or some other spiritual path, and you're like, oh, but maybe I don't want, maybe I want love too, maybe I want God's plan, maybe I want happiness that God wants for me also. And so at this point, you're in the phase of development where you're fluctuating, like this. And eventually you'll move through that phase where you're like, I only want love. I only want love. Only love is real, and it doesn't matter what circumstance or event or encounter I'm in, that's all I want, right? But this phase where we're fluctuating, love, fear, where you seem to be less stable than the unconscious people around you, right, who don't even know truth and want it, this is at least it's an improvement. I may be unstable, but let me tell you, it's an improvement of being solidly grounded only in ego, right? So, yes, it looks unstable, and yes, my ego would like to tell me that I'm a failure as a Course in Miracles student. Yes, it would. It would love to tell me that. But the truth is the Course told me this is progress. This is progress. Because, yes, it's unstable, but at least it's not solidly rooted in the past where I just wanted the ego. That's all I wanted to know, that's all I wanted to believe. Does that make sense?
Consistency reduces conflict, but it doesn't produce change or learning.
Thank you. Exactly. Consistency reduces conflict, fluctuation, but it doesn't produce peace.
Yeah.
Right,
You
exactly.
stay stuck, and you better make sure you like this place first, because that's where you're staying.
That's exactly
It
right.
reduces external conflict.
It reduces external conflict. Exactly. Okay, so that was our recap from last class. Okay? So then it says, consciousness was the first split that man introduced into himself. Okay? I split, got consciousness. When I got consciousness after I split, I became a perceiver rather than a creator in the true sense. And so, because of that, consciousness is correctly identified as the domain of the ego. Then it says, here's a great definition of the ego. You ready? The ego is a man-made attempt to perceive yourself as you wish to be rather than you are. Isn't that a great definition of the ego? It's a man-made wish, a man-made attempt to perceive yourself as you wish to be rather than you are. So if you're in your ego, and you know you're in your ego because there's no peace, then you know you've got a wish to be, you're attempting to be as you wish to be rather than you are. And that's what's happening right now. Okay? If you don't have peace. Then it says, this is an example of the created-creator confusion that we have spoken of before. That's the authority problem. Yet man can only know himself as he is, because what you are is all you can be sure of. Everything else besides what you are is open to question. That's interesting. The only thing I can ever be certain about, the only thing I can ever be stable in, the only thing I can ever be stable in or certain about is what I am. What I am. Okay? Now, then it says, the ego, another great definition of the ego. The ego is the questioning compartment in the post-separation psyche. The questioning compartment. Isn't that great? Over here we have the questioning compartment, right? The questioning compartment of the post-separation psyche. That's a great term for the ego also. The post-separation psyche. But the ego is the questioning compartment. And it says, and it's the questioning compartment which man created for himself, period. This questioning compartment of the post-separation psyche, the ego, is capable of asking valid questions. Who am I? Who am I? But not of perceiving valid answers, okay? It can ask valid questions. Who am I? What does this mean? But not of perceiving valid answers, because valid answers are cognitive, which means knowledge, and cannot be perceived. So valid answers, the answers to those questions, who am I? Who are you? What's your problem? What's my problem? What's going on here? That questioning self is capable of asking good questions, but it can't perceive real answers, because real answers come from knowledge and can't be perceived. You can't perceive the answer. Isn't that interesting? You can't perceive the answer, because the answers come from knowledge, which can't be perceived. Okay, then it says, the endless speculation about the meaning of the mind, has led to considerable confusion. Why? Because the mind is confused. Only one-mindedness is without confusion, and a separated, which means a divided mind, must be confused. Well, why is that? That's because a divided mind is uncertain by definition, right? If it's divided, that means it's uncertain. Obviously, it's going to be confused. A divided mind has to be in conflict, because a divided mind is out of accord with itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this practical. And let's go ahead and identify what's really going on in some kind of conflict or confusion. So I want you to bring to your awareness the last time you were feeling confused about something, or conflict. Notice he's going conflict equals confusion. Conflict equals confusion. I'm having this conflict. I'm confused. I'm confused. I'm having a conflict. And what does that mean? What does conflict mean? I'm having a conflict. It means I'm confused. What does that mean? It means I have a divided mind. I have a divided mind about this situation. I have a divided mind about this problem. I have a divided mind about this relationship. I have a divided mind. Wow. Meaning I'm not one-minded about it. I have conflicting desires. I have conflicting wills. Because any moment in that situation, if I went, oh, okay, I am confused and conflicted because I haven't made up my mind. I haven't made up my mind. I want two different things. I want opposites. I want love and I want fear. I want to love and I want to judge. I want to love and I want to attack. I am in conflict because I haven't made up my mind. I have a divided mind about this. And so 1 minute I'm loving and 1 minute I'm judging, and 1 minute I'm loving and 1 minute I'm judging. Now I'm in conflict about this situation. Okay? Now, what's going to be the answer that he just said? The answer is only one-mindedness is going to reduce my conflict. Only one-mindedness in this situation. Only wanting one thing and wanting one thing consistently is going to end my conflict in this situation. Okay, so I've got this conflict situation with this person in this relationship. Okay, apparently I'm in conflict because I am not only wanting one thing, I haven't decided what I really wanted. How do I know? Because 1 minute I'm loving, the next minute I'm angry or judging. And so if I want to end the conflict, I'm going to have to decide, what is the one thing you want? What is the one thing you want to come out of this? What is the one thing you want to come out of this? What is the one thing this is for? Make up your mind. It's only for love. It's only for love. That's it. So it's either love or it's a call for love. It's only for love. Or it's only for learning. It's only for learning. It's only for learning. It's only for forgiveness. See, whatever it is, it doesn't matter as long as it's one. Something that's one, where you make up your mind and you make a decision for it to stand for one thing and to mean one thing and one thing alone. Now, when you apply that decision to that conflict gone. So as you ponder the situation where you've experienced some conflict or confusion, can you see how that fits? Can you see how that makes sense?
So do I understand? My ego questions and asks the right question, but it can't get no answers.
Nope,
So then I have to go to another part of my mind
that's right,
to get that answer.
that's
And
right,
then that knowing is so certain, the question goes away.
that's right,
I mean, it's obvious. I no longer am confused or have a question about what I am,
that's right,
because there it is.
and what I want.
The ego has
So we
answers.
really use that process to go from our ego to our whatever you call that other part.
That's exactly right. The Course says in the earlier sections that we've done that conflict comes because you haven't made up your mind. You're afraid and you're in conflict because you haven't made up your mind. And so you're trying to hold to two opposite realities at the same time, and they are irreconcilable. And so of course you're going to have conflict. If you're going from I love 1 minute to I'm judging the next minute, you go back and forth and back. What else are you going to be in? You're not going to be having a good time. You're going to be confused and you're going to be worn out. So what you were saying, what takes us from the questioning level to the certainty level, the peace level, is exiting up out of the questioning level. What is their problem? What is my problem? What does this mean? What are you doing? What is wrong with God? What's wrong with me?
Can't the ego give you a false answer though?
It's exactly what you just said. Exactly. Yes, indeed. It says it's capable of asking valid questions but not perceiving valid answers. It will give you a lot of answers. Yep. But any answer that doesn't say, hey, you're conflicted in what you want. You haven't made up your mind. What do you want to come of this? Anything that answers different than that, you know it's got to be the ego.
So when your example of going back and forth, of, I want to attack, I want to love,
Right.
that scenario, the whole time you're staying in your ego. Because if you left there, you couldn't go back and forth.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
Is that like when your thoughts feel like they're all jumbled?
Yes. That's confusion. Yes, the jumbled thought state of mind is confusion when you haven't made up your mind. You are perceiving different levels, and you're perceiving the different desires that come from the different levels in your own mind. And so you're getting messages from, different levels, and those messages are always conflicting. And you can imagine it's so confusing. And then you go, God, I'm tired.
So if we want to learn anything or know, we leave that analytical part of our mind.
Exactly.
We're not sitting there trying to figure it out anymore. We've stopped that and said, what is it?
Exactly.
We just ask the question and stop trying to understand.
Exactly.
Until you see it, you will understand it, but not before.
Exactly. So it's like this. In this scenario, the peace and the answer comes not from figuring it out yourself in answer to your questions. It comes from identifying your one purpose. Okay? So I may be like, what's his problem? Why is he doing that? Why is he doing that to me? Why is this happening to me? What's their problem? What's my problem? Why is God doing this to me? Question, right? And you're not going to question and answer your way out of that. The only way out is to go, okay, what do I want to come of this? What is this for? That's why the Course says that's the one thing that's the one question you should be asking. What do I want to come of this? What is my purpose? What do I want to come out of this? And when you just make that decision, then now you are approaching one-mindedness, where there's no conflict, because you've made a decision. One
I
decision.
leave that part of me that wants to decide.
Yes,
That's what the line, decide for God for me.
that's right.
Means I don't want to decide no more. Come on, I invite you, and you decide what I want.
Exactly.
And you carry it out, because all I can do is go back and forth and choose wrongly.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you can't get to the point where you're like, oh yeah, all I want is to learn how to forgive in this situation. That's all I'm here to do. All I want is forgiveness. Forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of them, forgiveness of God, forgiveness. That's all I want. The Course said that is the only right use of anything. Any situation, that is the one purpose of every situation and every encounter and every relationship. That's what it's all for here. That's what it's all for. Now, if you can't get to the point where you're like, oh yeah, all I want is forgiveness. That's my single purpose. That's my function. That's my purpose. That's all I want to come of this. If you can't get to that, then the Course says, say, I forgot what to decide. Decide for peace for me. Decide for God for me. Right? And then your teacher goes, remember, you're just here to learn how to forgive. You're just here to learn how to love. So just make that your purpose. Decide that's all you want. And then the means will be provided. So all I have to do is remember what I want it for, what I want to come of this, and then, boom, the means are provided. Beautiful, I like that.
So that's why trust is such an issue in the teacher's manual. Without trust, you will never ask that and mean it.
That's right.
And without that, you won't do it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You
That's
have
exactly right.
to put somebody or something else in charge instead of yourself.
Exactly.
Requires total trust.
And that probably will be the biggest leap as students of the course. The first leap of faith that this curriculum asks you to make is this. There is a mind that loves you completely and wants you to have peace and happiness completely and wants to give it to you completely and has all power in the universe to do that. Okay, now that's the first leap of faith, because when you begin on it, well, shoot, why would you have total faith in that, right? There's nothing in the world to make you see that that's true or be able to trust that. So that's the first leap, that there is a God, that you are created, that you have been created. You have been created by something loving that loves you and wants you only to be happy, and has provided all the means for that. Just for the asking, just for the desiring. That's the first leap of faith. But once you've made that leap, then from there it's about using that trust. Okay, decide for peace for me in this situation. Decide for peace for me in this situation. Decide for me in this situation. And then that's it. You know, and that's why that's why you can tell that this curriculum came from love. A loving, all-powerful mind. Because you don't have to do anything. You don't have to figure anything out. You just have to accept the facts. You are loved. You are loved. And that which created you loves you and wants you to only be happy and has provided all the means for that unto an entire universe. And our function, all we're asked to do is just accept. Accept. That's it. Accept. Yes.
So are you
Wow. Have we made it a little more complicated or what?
we go about this thinking this course will teach us how to choose
Right.
and what to decide.
Yes.
And all it teaches us is you're not the one to decide or
That's
to choose.
right.
You turn it over to one who is much wiser than you.
That's right.
And
Loves you.
you will find you don't even want to decide or choose anymore.
Exactly.
If you try that a few times and see how it works out. But
That's right.
you have to get past that barrier of, now I better choose this one.
Exactly. That's why you're saying that the core thing here is accepting that you do not create yourself. That is the core leap of faith. You know, that once you've made that, then the rest of the course is a breeze. Once you've made that leap. I did not create myself. I have been created. I did not create myself.
I never realized it before, but every choice and decision is part of that image of us. It's us trying to create ourselves.
That's exactly right. And that's what the ego is. It's me trying to be my own creator, or be someone else's creator, or be the creator of reality. or be the author of reality. That is what the ego is. The ego is the desire to kick God off of his throne and be God. And that's what judgment is. I want to be God. I'm going to decide. I'm going to decide your reality. I'm going to decide my reality. I'm going to decide what's true here. I'm going to decide what this means. I am the author of reality. And that's what judgment is. And he says, whenever you are judging, you are utilizing a weapon for your own authority. That's what judgment is. It's a weapon. A weapon that we're using for our own authority. And so the idea, I did not create myself, absolutely takes that weapon of judgment and sends it back where it came from. Sends it back to the nothingness where it came from. Because if I didn't create myself and I'm not the author of reality, then where's my judgment? Why am I going to even try to judge? Well, all right. So then...
Can I ask a clinical question?
A clinical question? Oh my.
Like a Freudian clinical question?
Oh, sure. This
So,
should be
like-
good.
So as far as like the level of minds in Freud, the id, the ego, superego. So the id is like your predisposed genetic code information, fight and flight, reptilian brain or whatever.
Yes.
And then your ego would be your unconscious mind. And the
No,
superego would be
yeah,
your conscious
I think in
mind.
the Freudian system, the conscious mind is the ego. So Freud calls the conscious mind the ego,
Right.
and then calls the unconscious mind
The
the id.
superego is more of a value system.
It's the moral.
Right.
It's the moral,
So your learned
ethical,
value system.
yes. It's your learned value system, the moral, ethical, I should do this, we should do that, right. Okay. Okay, is that anything else around that?
Good.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so the id in Freud is the unconscious, and the ego is the conscious, and the superconscious, or superego is the moral, ethical.
Right, and the piece that's
part.
missing that is really self-awareness.
And also what's missing from the Freudian model is the superconscious, which is the higher mind.
Or the self-aware.
Right, exactly. The Holy Spirit, the higher mind. Okay, that's the superconscious, right? Freud left out that aspect. Freud didn't see us as created by God necessarily. He saw us as more self-created, self-regulating and where we split our own selves into those levels. Does that make sense?
Does that contradict the Course?
Yes, it does. Because Freud left out the superconscious or the collective mind, the higher mind. Jung brought it in. Jung brought that through. Okay. All right. Okay, shall we go on with this juicy topic? Okay, was that helpful, looking at your conflict through that interpretation? Okay, and did you hear the formula for what the formula to work on the conflict that we identified? Did you hear the formula?
Well, I think it's interesting. What I heard was that in all these smaller decisions, I'm really keep arguing the authority question, and that's what explained why we get upset over little tiny things that
That's
don't
right.
seem to matter much.
That's right.
Because it's really the bigger questions behind them that we're trying to prove and
Thank
hold on to and all that.
Exactly.
It's amazing what we can get excited about. That's pretty inconsequential.
Sure
We have to
is.
say to ourselves, we don't know anything, or say
Yeah.
for peace, and that peace is my
But
only
they're
goal.
just a smaller part of the bigger thing that we're trying to be the author of.
Exactly. We wouldn't have so many questions if we would accept the one answer to the one question that's behind them all, which is, what am I? And the one answer to that one question, so it's like he says that is the one question that we keep asking ourselves. What am I? What am I? What am I? What am I? And because we're not accepting the one answer, because we're not asking the right source, we keep asking ourselves, what am I? What am I? What am I? I'm going to go try to figure out what I am. Am I this? No. Am I that? I'm going to go try to be that. Oh, that wasn't me either. Am I this? Let me try to be that. Oh, that's not me either. Right? And so we go on this wild goose chase. Who am I? I'm going to answer it. Maybe I'm a doctor. Maybe I'm a lawyer. Maybe I'm a woman. Maybe I'm a mother. Maybe I'm a daughter. Maybe I'm a human. Maybe I'm a... Right? We're like going on this wild goose chase to figure out who I am. Now, I could save myself a lot of time and a lot of dead ends, and I've experienced a lot of dead ends, let me tell you. I thought I was just a mother. Oh, I figured I'm not just a mother. Oh, I thought I was a woman. Well, I guess I'm realizing I'm not that either, I guess. And I could save myself a lot of time if I would just take that core question, that existential core question, what am I, and take it to the one who created me and go, okay, I am created, I will ask my creator, what am I? Now the question gets answered. Now, what am I going to do with my life now, and my time, and my resources, and my energy now that that question's been answered? Well, I'm going to have a damn good time. I am going to have some fun, and I am going to only take purposeful paths, and I'm not going to keep going down dead end after dead end after dead end after dead end and banging my head up against the wall of identity. Because you think about all the stuff that we've pursued and pursued and pursued with all this energy and passion. What were we pursuing it for? I'm trying to figure out who I am. Maybe I'm this person's mate. Maybe I'm that person's mate. Maybe I'm this person's parent. Maybe I'm maybe I'm this. Maybe I'm a writer. Maybe I'm a teacher. Maybe I'm right? I'm going to stop going down these dead-end roads that can never teach me who I really am. I'm going to ask that which created me what I am, and I'm going to take its word for it, especially if it's more loving than what I've decided, right? And then I can save myself time and just go about my business being it. How about that? How about that for a life goal? I would just like to go about the world being myself. Being myself. Wow, what a radical goal.
It's like the Wizard of Oz. They have to journey all the way she had to journey all the way to Oz to find out who she was.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. She had to journey all the way to Oz, a dead-end road, right? Only to find out who she really was, which she was all along.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and after we ask that, since we don't have much experience knowing what that looks like or is,
that's right.
That's kind of our learning journey, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to learn what you are as you go, because your past doesn't have anything to tell you what it was.
That's exactly right. And I'm seeing in this moment, as we're talking, I'm seeing how much time I could save myself. You know, because if I was to, let's say I've got this great plan, I'm hatching up, I really want to do that, and I want to get some of that, and I want that to happen, and I'm making my plans for my life, and I ask myself this question, what for? What for? Okay, I'm going to go do da-da-da-da-da, become a da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, what for? Now, if you ask yourself that question honestly, there's a good chance you will come to the core, which is, I'm trying to figure out who I am. Maybe that's who I am. Maybe that's what I am. I want to know what I am. Because that's the question that is preoccupying my soul, right? Or my ego. So I'm seeing right now how I could save myself a lot of time. Okay? What if I just accepted the answer to what am I from that which created me, and then I'm not out searching in the world, I'm just out creating. And my experience in the world is just creating, joy, extension, creation, create out of my joy, for learning what I am and who I am.
I think after a while you begin to feel it in your inner being,
Yes.
what you're not,
That's right.
what feels right and what doesn't feel right.
That's right. Exactly. Eventually, you get to feel, that's not really me. I mean,
Well, searching is your ego discovering
what you're not.
is being present,
Yeah. So searching is something that,
planning.
that's right, that we do, the Course says, when we've denied our true identity. He says that's the biggest trick of all we've played on ourselves. I don't know what I am. How can a thing not know what it is? That's the biggest, craziest joke that you can play on yourself. The Course says that's like saying you're dead. That's like saying you don't exist. Saying I don't know what I am is like saying you don't exist. So there's two options here. Then the Course says if you don't know your true identity, you don't know what you are, you're like, what am I? Who am I? What am I doing? Who am I? What am I? What's my value? What am I doing? What am I supposed to be doing? If you are doing that, then it says they can only be for one reason, and that's because you've denied your identity. Your author, your creator, offered you your identity, gave you your identity, and we said, no. No. Okay? So if you don't know what you are, and you don't know what you are when you're always questioning yourself, you have a ton of self-doubt. Anybody in here have any self-doubt? That's how you know that you have denied your true identity. And if you are in doubt about yourself, it can only be because you have denied your true identity. You have rejected it. Okay? And if you have rejected your true identity, there's only one thing you can do after that, and this search. And search here, and search there, and search there, and search here, and searching for love in all the wrong places. Searching for your identity. So you deny your identity, your true identity, as what? As child of God, as creation of light. You deny your true identity, and now you gotta search. Then you gotta go here, and you gotta go there, and you gotta go look there, and you gotta look there, and you gotta look there. And then we make up lots of lifetimes so we can keep searching. Because now I need to search on a different continent. And now I need to search as a different gender. And now I need to search on a different planet. Right? So, but the other option to just searching, perpetual searching and not finding, which only leads to despair, is accepting your true identity and go your way rejoicing. Because once you accept your true identity as a child of God, created by love, then all you can do is experience ecstasy, joy.
Is the searching kind of like the repetition compulsion?
Yes,
that
it
we talked
is.
about?
It's exactly what it is. It's the repetition compulsion. And in that same section, he calls it foolish journeys. He goes, don't you accept my experience to the cross as the last foolish journey? They're just foolish journeys. They're just repetition compulsions. What's the repetition compulsion? I'm going to go looking again for what and who I am in a place I could never find it. Yeah. But this time I do it in a different gender. This time I'll do it in another body. This time I'll do it in another planet. This time I'll do it in another continent. Yeah. And then you wonder why there's this existential angst in most human beings. Right? Even when you got it all in the world, existential angst. Why is it that when you get everything that you could have, that anybody could want in the world, you still have angst? You still have self-doubt. Is there something more? Is this all there is? That's why. Because until that one question has been asked and you have allowed it to be answered, you will be forever searching for what you cannot find out there. But once you accept your true identity, I am a child of God. I am the precious child of God Himself. That's it. And once you've accepted that, then you have only joy. You experience certainty, no more self-doubt, No more being plagued by self-doubt. Imagine that. I would love to have that experience for a day. No more self-doubt. You know, you're not plagued by self-doubt. You're not plagued by uncertainty. And what is there left is just joy, just pure joy for being alive. And then what do? You go out and you extend joy, and you create beauty. You create beauty. You create beauty. You create things that remind other people of what they are. And then, so how would you like to have a life like that? That's my goal. That's my goal, right? I don't want to I don't want to have my life just be, now I'm searching here, now I'm searching there, now I'm going to try to do this. I just want to accept my reality as created by my Creator. I just want to accept it once and for all, and then live my life and go about my world creating beauty out of my joy.
So
How about y'all? Would anybody like to join me in that goal? Does that sound a wee bit better than the perpetual search? The perpetual futile search.
after I've said, who am I or what am I? Then I don't start searching for it, because that will be my ego again.
That's right.
I let it be told to me, shown to me, taught to me, whatever.
That's right.
But don't worry about it, because I will stay what I am, whether I know what I am or not. That can't be threatened. I think that's, we get to thinking, if I don't know what I am, it could be changed or whatever.
That's right.
But you have to be calm that, don't worry how long it takes you to know what you are.
Yes, exactly.
Because
Accept.
you will be that all along, and you can't change that.
That's exactly right.
All that's going to happen is you will recognize what
Right.
has always been there.
Exactly. So it's really not about finding it. It's about asking the right source and accepting. Accepting.
Letting it be shown to you
Yes.
at the pace that you're able to understand it.
Exactly. Letting it be shown to you. Now, that's one of the, for me, that's one of the beauties of, or the priceless value of the Course, is that it's a compelling, gorgeous, beautiful, poetic, unforgettable reminder about your true identity. That's all it's doing from cover to cover. You are light, you are love, you are the holy child of God Himself. You are innocent, you are guiltless, you are spirit, you are God, you are a thought in the mind of God. You are God's, you're God's beloved. You're God's beloved child in whom He is well pleased. You are a spirit, right? You are as God created you. It's just one beautiful, compelling reminder after another, after another, after another about your true identity. Your true identity is a creation of life, of love, of God. And so just reading it is helping to answer that most deep existential question that humans will feel oppressed by until it is answered. Right? Isn't that the question that has driven humans since the beginning of time? What am I? What am I? What am I? What am I? And everything that we are doing is just to try to answer that question. And until that question has been answered, we will have self-doubt, and we will have anxiety, and we will feel lost, and we will feel depressed, because we don't know who we are, which is the most impossible situation that you could try to put yourself in. I don't know the thing I am.
So relax, your knowing it won't affect the answer.
That's right.
You
Exactly.
just stay who you are.
Exactly.
When you know that is really, it doesn't matter at all, does it?
That's right. That's exactly right. And listen, when you know what you are, and you've stopped questioning and doubting what you are and trying to figure it out, then whatever is left for you to do, you will know what to do. It won't be any like figuring anything out. Oh yeah, I am womanly love. Oh yeah, I know what to do.
That makes me think of the ancient Taoists when they came to that point of realizing who created them, what they were. People would ask them, what are you going to do now? They'd say I'm gonna cut wood and carry water like I always did.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly. And I'm going to do whatever my joy dictates now. And it's not like once I accept my true reality that I'm going to be bored and that, well, now there's nothing to do. Oh, boring. You know, now there's nothing to go search for. There's no love to search for. There's no fame to search for. It's not like you're going to be bored. At that point, you will be so filled with joy, so filled with light and inspiration, that what is there for you to do to help the rest of humanity who remains asleep in darkness will be absolutely shown and obvious. You'll know what to do. You won't be like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? What should I do? What should I do? There won't be any uncertainty, you know. And you better believe when you have accepted your true identity and you're not plagued by self-doubt and you're finally happy, really happy, lasting happiness, you better be sure that God and all of God's helpers and angels are going to put you to work. Like that. They're going to be like, you, come here, over here, I need you over here. And then when you're done with that, I need you over here. And then when you're done with that, I need you over here. You better believe that your calendar will be full. You better believe that you will be needed and used by all the beings whose purpose is to help this planet wake up.
It comes to you too.
Absolutely.
You don't have to look for it.
Not at all. They come looking for you. Absolutely. So it's not like, oh, I'm afraid when I accept my identity, my true identity, then I'll be bored and I won't have anything to do. Oh my! I don't have any futile searches to go out on. Whatever shall I do? It won't be like that at all. The Spirit will be like, hey you, need you over here, right? And you'll be like, oh cool, sure, all right. All right, so let's stop here for this evening. Any questions or comments about what we've talked about and the practical applicability of what we've spoken about? Anything like, yeah, but how does that mean? Anything like that?
I'm amazed at the interconnectedness of it all, how the littlest issues and conflicts are really about the bigger picture.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, it's, I never saw it like that before. It makes obvious sense once you see it, but that's sort of amazing with these little...
Yes, exactly. That all the little questions that we are filled with really are symptoms of the deeper one question. What am I? Which is really, who am I? Right? Who am I? Who am I? Of course, there's this beautiful prayer that you say, and I love it. It says, I know who I am and I accept my inheritance. Isn't that nice? So when you know who you are, basically, that is you accepting your inheritance. You know, I know who I am and I accept my inheritance. Because if you remember that you are God's precious child, you are God's heir, then what does that tell you about what you got coming to you? That's the other beautiful thing about accepting your true identity, right? If I don't know that I have a rich father, then of course I'm going to be filled with some doubt and insecurity. But what happens in my mind when I realize, oh, I'm the long-lost child of a rich and loving father. Oh, I start to feel a little better about myself. I start to feel a little more secure. Oh, I know who I am, and I can accept my inheritance. But could I accept my inheritance of that rich father if I was denying I was that father's heir? I can't. That's why the whole question of authorship is core. I did not create myself. That's core to everything. All right, any other questions or comments about, yeah, that's all well and good, but how does that apply to my da-da-da? And you know what I mean by da-da-da, right? Okay. We all have our da-da-das. Okay. So we already did our love offering. All right, don't forget all my videos are on YouTube. And also you can find out about my holistic counseling practice at annakujawa.com. Thank you. Okay. You guys ready to do just a wee bit of practical application? All right. I know that's kind of weird to do at a course class, but let's do it anyway. All right. So first I want you to close your eyes and just become present. I want you to tune in to how you feel right now. How does it feel to hear these ideas? I just want you to ask yourself, what was it that I heard that was very helpful, that I really needed tonight? What is it that I heard that I could really use right now? Beautiful. And now I want you to bring to your awareness a situation that you experienced recently, or maybe it's current, where you're experiencing some conflict. Maybe a situation where you felt split between the will to love and the will to judge. You felt in conflict and confused by that split you felt. Now I want you to see if you can identify in that conflict that you felt. See if you can identify the split will, the conflicting desires that were present within you relative to the situation. I see that my will was split. I was wanting two opposite things at the same time. Beautiful. And now, we heard in this section tonight telling us that only one-mindedness, only one will in this situation could undo this conflict and confusion. And so I want you to identify or remember the one thing that you want to come of this situation, or the one thing you want to experience in this encounter or relationship. What is the one higher desire or higher will that you now remember that you want? And tell yourself, I'm afraid in this situation because I haven't made up my mind. And so now I'm going to make up my mind. I'm going to make a decision. All I want to come of this is, and all this is for is, And then I want you to see that situation bathed, saturated in this one purpose. Your one will. And then I want you to breathe and see if you can feel or perceive this situation lightening, integrating. Becoming full of light because finally it's integrated. And I want you to notice what happens within your own conflict around this situation now. Beautiful. Now I want you to look a little deeper into this situation. And I want you to see if you can identify that old, ancient, existential question. I want you to see if you can find that question underneath all the wrappings of this conflict. I want you to see if you can identify your self-doubt about what you are and who you are underneath it all. What is your self-doubt underneath it all? Go down. Go down underneath this problem until you can find the self-doubt that's questioning itself and oh so wishing to have certainty about what it is and who it is. And I want you to see how this problem was an attempt to search for that identity, that certainty. This situation was my attempt to find or to make up my identity. This situation was an attempt to answer my doubts about myself. And once you've seen that, now let's go ahead and work at that core level and ask your Creator the truth about your true identity. Ask your Creator, Creator, what did you create me to be? Whom did you create me to be? Who am I? Ask. And breathe. Breathe it in. And listen. Ask your Creator Source what it created you to be and whom it created you to be. And then listen and accept. And then let's say quietly to ourselves, I am the precious child of God Himself. I am God's own beloved child in whom God is well pleased. And I remain exactly as God created me. And I want you to just breathe that in. Let that fact wire itself into your brain, root itself in your mind. And take a breath and let that fact be sealed into your memory. And just breathe. And feel. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, bring your awareness back to the room and back to your body and take a breath. All right, yay, nice. Deep course. Wow. That's the way I like to use the course. I like to read it and then do what it said to do and see what happens. That's my approach to the study of this curriculum. Thank you for being here and helping me to do that and helping everybody else to do that. So thank you. All right, may the course be with you.